Hello guys, welcome back to Adulting But Not Really with Lucia. Don't know why I always get so awkward about the intros, but hello guys. I am currently in a different setting, as you can see. Oh my god, my stomach just did like a little noise. I'm gonna explain that in a minute. I'm currently in my Boston dorm. This is actually like the only time that I've been detached from my roommate and best friend Regina. She's one of my best friends. We moved together to Boston because we're taking the same computer science minor, and our school is taking out the minor. And they're like, hey, you want to finish your minor? The only last time that you can finish the last class you need for your minor is this summer. And you can choose between the London campus or the Boston campus. And I have to come to the US because I'm doing my citizenship exam and they're taking away my passport and all of that. I officially got my citizenship date, so in a month from now, actually, I'm going to be taking my naturalization exam, and hopefully, I'll be out of the country. Although, like, okay, I have been hearing I've been hearing myself, and I've been hearing the way I talk about things, and I've been hearing the way that I just present my current situation in life, and I think it actually goes really in depth with this episode. That this episode is about traveling and feeling a sense of home after literally not having a home. I'm gonna explain my situation right now, but it's weird because I don't feel like the other day before I got my citizenship exam date, I had to go and give in my green card and get my fingerprint and stuff, and they asked me something about being American, and I had to say yes. I mean, no, I didn't say that I was American. Let me clarify that. I just asked, like, do you live in the U.S.? And technically, I do. I have a residency here. I did high school here. My parents live here. I technically just study abroad. But I spent so much time abroad, and even during breaks, like summer break, I spent most of my time in Spain and on the US, that it feels like I moved out of the US. And whenever I'm back here, I feel like an imposter in a way. I don't know how to explain that. And for me, telling him, like, I do live in the US, it felt wrong. And it's like so weird. But then, for example, I've been studying for my citizenship exam, and like I know every obviously I did high school here, so I took a lot of American history classes and civics classes and stuff like that. And obviously, like I know everything, and all the questions are really simple, and it feels like, oh no, holy shit, I do know more about the political and economical system of the US than I know about the political and economical system in the UK or in Spain, which is so sad because I am fully Spanish, so I need to get on that with the Spain one. But the thing is, like, I grew up middle school and high school in the US, and I was always super involved in politics here because I really enjoy politics, and I was such a history and like politics nerd. I took AP Gov, A level US history, AS level US history, AP macro, like something about the US government just fascinated me. It's so messed up. I love it. But yeah, so that's like a little sidetrack about my sense of home. If you have not listened to an episode before and this is the first time you're clicking on this, hi, my name's Lucia. I'm from the Canary Islands, Spain, but when I was 10, literally on my 10th birthday, thank you, mom and dad, I was on a plane moving to Miami. And I moved to Miami until I was 18 years old, and then literally the week after I turned 18, I moved to the UK, and I study and I live in London. But obviously during summer times and winter break, I go back to Miami. Although last year I lived in Madrid for 3 months, and then I spent 1 month in the Canary Islands. And then I did 1 month in Miami. So out of like the 5 months that I have a vacation, I did 1 month in Miami. And this year I wanted to stay in London, but I had to come back to the US because of the citizenship and passport stuff. But low-key, I'm really enjoying it. I love Boston. Boston has been great. The weather has been amazing. Even if it's cold or rainy, even though it's not cold at all, I literally went to the beach the other day. Yes, there's a beach in Boston. It's actually 3 beaches in Boston, and it's an 11-minute car ride from my campus. And we're not in Cambridge. We're in the edges of Cambridge. We're still super close to like Beacon Hill, and I'm like a 30-minute walk to Newberry Street. And it's so nice. I went on a run this morning through the river in MIT. It was amazing. It's so pretty. But yeah, no, it's been amazing. I've been loving Boston. It's so nice to experience a different city. I talked about this in a different episode about how it's good to push myself out of a comfort zone And staying in London would have been staying within my comfort zone because I've been living in London for 2 years. So it was good to get out of my comfort zone and be like, let's just explore a new city. Even though I had been to Boston before, I'd never actually lived here. So it's actually been super nice. My favorite pastime when I'm bored is that I just grab my headphones and I go walking around new neighborhoods. It's been really amazing. I love my professors here, actually. I've been loving my classes here. I don't have classes on Tuesdays and Fridays. So last Tuesday, we actually went to the beach because it was 26 degrees Celsius and like really sunny. So we went to the beach that day. And today's Friday, I don't have class. My roommate is out with some friends, but right now I went on a run. I had my coffee and I'm gonna meet up a friend. And then I'm going to meet more friends and I'm just going to walk around Boston. It's been so nice. I love that I can bike and literally like walk everywhere. I'm actually probably going to bike to meet my friend. So yeah, that's been amazing. But yeah, so to go into the actual topic of the episode, which is travel and home, feeling a sense of home, I kind of just wanted to introduce the idea of, if I listened to myself right now a year ago, I would not believe me. This like feeling of home within so many different countries and so many different cities, and not being quote unquote homesick or not feeling comfortable anywhere in the world, is such a good skill that I have developed. And it was so hard to develop because I kind of got forced to develop that because little context, my parents moved out of our house last summer and we had everything in boxes. They went traveling, literally like digital nomads, with my brother and my dog, and they went traveling all over Spain in a road trip, and I was just in Madrid working and hanging out with my friends and living there while they were doing that. But yeah, we moved out of Miami basically for like 3 months, and we didn't have a house. We came back, we stayed with some friends until we found an apartment, and then we moved into a new apartment. Literally, the only reason for that was, we're going to be in Spain all summer. We're going to move out of the house. Why don't we just move out early, leave our stuff, and why would we pay rent if we're not going to be here for 3 months? So that was an interesting point in life. That honestly, like, slay. Good for them, you know? I wish I had seen that much of Spain. Like, my brother has seen more of Spain than I have now, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll get there this summer. Now, on the sense of travel, I think I've been wanting to touch upon this topic for a really long time because I hadn't noticed how much I talk about traveling until I came to Miami 2 weeks ago. And the first thing people were asking me is like, Chica, like, how have you been traveling? Like, I see you everywhere. And I hadn't realized how much I have been doing it until I literally looked at like the people and I was like, wait, do I really give off like travel vibes? And yeah, no, it was fun. I definitely had a little awakening moment when they kept asking me that, because it was like multiple people. Because one person, I'm like, okay, maybe like you get that feeling, but it was multiple people telling me that first thing they saw me, and I was like, wow. Anyway, so I wrote some notes about how I've been traveling so much, and I wrote some notes about like my whole logistics of it, and giving tips and tricks on how to travel around Europe on a budget, because I am on a budget. Trust me, I am not unlimited on money. And also, I'm probably going to be plugging my friends. So if Alberto listens to this, you're welcome. You're welcome. You owe me one. Actually, I don't think he's listening to this, but if he is, just know that I have been plugging Jet Lost to the kids in Boston. So it just comes out. What can I say? I'm just a natural marketer. Anyways, back to the point. So when it comes to the traveling, so for the past 6 months, actually, I counted it at the end of the year, and I did 16 cities in 7 months, which was crazy. I think it's actually 6 months. It was 6 months and a half, but I did 16 cities, which is crazy. So most of the cities were in Spain, and I'm very lucky enough that I go to an international school where people are from everywhere. Especially when you go to international school in Europe, most people are from Europe. So that means that if you make friends with people from Italy, then you most probably have a place to stay in Italy. Just as like my friends, when they came to Spain, they stayed with me, because that's just the beauty of having international friends. And that, in terms of that, I got really lucky. But when I did my reading week is kind of like spring break, but you have it every 6 months. So I had a reading week in October, right on Halloween. It landed right on Halloween this year. And then I had a reading week for like spring break in March. And during my first reading week of sophomore year of college, technically junior because I am graduating in like less than a year. Scary. Anyways, I went to Italy. I stayed 2 or 3 nights with my friend at her house. So I saved up money there, and her parents were super sweet, and they cooked for me, and they gave me wine, and it was super nice. So I saved money there. But then, obviously, I got really lucky that I had a local that told me what were the cheapest choices and what is the safest choice. So I'll put it up on the screen, or I'll put it up on the description down below. But my friend Alicia actually recommended me and told me, explained to me what train lines in Italy are safe and what train lines in Italy are just like more less safe. Just like you have to watch out for. I did take the less safe one because it was the only one that went from Alba, which is her town, to Turin, and then from Turin I went to Milan in train. And the one from Alba to Turin, she was like, oh, it's not as safe, but it's still like doable. I felt, well, it was just like, you just have to look at your stuff. But I live in London, and all I do is literally watch out for my stuff in the streets, so I'm used to being on alert the entire time when I'm in a city. But actually, it feels weird to walk around Boston without clutching to my phone and looking out for my phone my entire time. Anyways, so there's that. So obviously, if you have access to a local, somebody that has been there, I do recommend doing your research first about what's the cheapest option, what are the safe areas, especially when you're going to Paris. I've gone to Paris multiple times because I live in London, it's really close to it, and I'm really lucky that I have friends that study in Paris, so they've told me what areas to avoid and what areas not to avoid. I think I'm going to leave it all in the description down below, but there are areas in Paris that you have to watch out for. So basically, like, each neighborhood is classified like a number, like a district, and I don't remember which district exactly, but they told me to avoid that one. And the second time I ever went to Paris, I booked a hotel, an Ibis hotel, which is a hotel that's it's kind of like the typical motels in the US that are cheap, but they have everything you need, all the basics. That's Ibis hotel, and they have them in London. They have them in the UK. They have them in France. I saw them in Belgium. I think I saw them in Italy. So there's some countries that they're in, and they're really reliable, really nice. They're not the most fancy hotels, but they're affordable, and they do their job, and they do their job well. The basics, they're there. So I accidentally booked one of the Ibis hotel in like one of the sketchy areas, but the metro stop was right in front of it, so I only had to walk 1 minute in the sketchy area, which was fine. And that's another point that I want to get to. Whenever you're going to a new city, or whenever you're going somewhere unfamiliar, always book the hotel or the Airbnb near a metro stop or whatever form of public transportation you're going to use. And research what form of public transportation is reliable and safe to use. Because there's been cities that they've told me don't take the public transportation. It's one, a small city, and you can just walk everywhere. Two, it's just not safe or not reliable, and it's better to bike, or it's better to take the bus. For example, in London, I do recommend taking the tube because it's so fast, so convenient, and it's just like a typical touristy thing. Honestly, like, the tube is literally part of like London, especially the Piccadilly and the Central Line. But whenever somebody on a budget comes to visit me in London, the first thing I tell them is, if you're really on a budget, take the bus. Will it take you longer? It will take you longer. But are they sometimes not reliable because they take really long to come? Yes, they're not reliable sometimes. But the bus is so much cheaper. You get to see London from the bus. It's also a very touristy thing, a double-decker. And they're 24 hours, most of them. You have to check on Google Maps which ones work 24 hours and which ones don't, but most of them work 24 hours. So honestly, pretty reliable, cheaper than the tube, because the tube is expensive. The tube is so expensive. But for example, in Madrid, if you ask me in Madrid, if you ask me about public transportation, wonders. So cheap, so reliable, better than the tube in London, cleaner than the tube in London, gets you everywhere super fast. Oh my god, I love the metro in Madrid. I love it. As a student, you pay 10 euros a month. You know, my Oyster card with my student discount costs me for a monthly pass in London £110. That's literally illegal. Being a student in London is so expensive. But honestly, what I've experienced is that being a student in Boston is even more expensive. I budget more here, and I'm like eating less because I'm like budgeting everything out. But Oh my god, Boston is way more expensive than London, which is actually a crime. Actually a crime, because if you think about it, London, it is a lot of students, but it's also a lot of people working, especially in finance. It's like a really big finance place. But there's like a lot of people working, you know, it's not just a student city. Like maybe some people can get around. But Boston is just students, bro. Why is it so expensive? If like 90% of its population are literally students on a budget. I don't get it. Also, when I book my hotels and my flights and everything, I always book them 1 month in advance, minimum. When I went, the trip that I booked the fastest ever the entire school year was Barcelona. Barcelona, I booked 3 weeks before leaving to Barcelona, but that was because it was super last minute. I was not expecting to go. I wasn't gonna go. It was just that I realized that I had a long weekend super late. Because my school is like horrible with communication. I love my school, but they're horrible at communication. And they didn't tell us that we had a long weekend, and that was the one weekend that I didn't have a trip, because I had a trip the weekend before and the weekend after and the weekend after. So it was the one weekend that I had free, and it turned out perfectly great. And I was gonna go, but my friend Agnes called me and she was like, I gotta go. You wanna go? And I was like, sure. That was okay, not a cheap flight. But it's fine. Most of my trips, I buy them a month in advance. So when I went to London from London to Madrid, it was £20 round trip. Why? Ryanair. Now, let me tell you a little trick about Ryanair. Those little TikTok study abroad girlies that buy the little backpack that's like Ryanair size, actually it's worth it. I hate to admit it, but it's worth it. You have to do it. I have that one. If you're watching a visual, I literally have that one. My dad bought it for me. It's like a Swiss brand. It's really good, has a lot of compartments and fits everything, but it's not Ryanair size. So one time, actually when I flew to Milan, that's when they made me pay for it. But I've gotten really lucky. They haven't called me out again. Hopefully they never call me out again. I've gone to Canarias for 3 days with that backpack, and it fit everything, that my grandma gives me after. And that's how you know it works, because my grandma, whenever I go to the Canary Islands, I come back with like so much food in my bag. I come back with so many new clothes that she just buys out of nowhere for me. She's so sweet. I love her. But I just come back with like a whole new wardrobe. I come back with food from my fridge. I come back with so much. And the fact that backpack can handle it all, that's how you know it's good. It's a really expensive backpack, but it's very durable, and it does its job. So when it comes to finding the flights, I thought this was common knowledge, but apparently it's not common knowledge. Skyscanner is like kayak, but on Adderall, and so much better. Skyscanner, literally, it's amazing. I love it. Like, I love them. I want to shower them with love. Skyscanner is amazing. So you basically put your location and you put where you want to go, and it shows you all the different options and the cheapest flights and all of that. And a feature that they have that I love is that you can put like anywhere in Europe, anywhere in Asia, or anywhere in the world, and they show you a specific date or in the month, what are the cheapest times, what are the cheapest dates, where you can go from where you are for the cheapest price in the specific date that you put, the specific month. It's amazing. That's literally how I've traveled half the time. I book and I'm like anywhere in the world from London, and then it shows up like Madrid, or then it shows up the Canary Islands, and I'm like, oh, and then it shows up Belgium, and then I just send it to my friends. I'm like, hey guys, it's literally cheaper to go to Belgium for the weekend than to go out partying, which is actually another part of that. London, I love it. I miss it so much, and it's only been almost a month that I've been out of London, but oh my god, is it expensivo to spend a weekend in London. It's actually cheaper for me to go to Oxford or Bath to visit my friends, or to literally leave the country. Like, sometimes it's cheaper for me to go to Canary Islands for the weekend. It just happens, man. That's living in a big city, big international city. Sometimes it's just so expensive, and unless you want to stay at home all day and not do that many exciting stuff, you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money. And I'm on my mentality of you only live once, YOLO, I'm gonna do it. So I end up spending most of my money. For stay, for example, when you go to stay, I'm really lucky that I actually only paid 1 out of the 16 cities that I paid for stay. No, 2. I went to Paris and I paid for a hotel with my friends, but I split it in 3. It was one of those really cheap hotels. It was a really safe area. I'll link it down below if I find it. actually, but it was really nice hotel, and I think it was like 300 in total for 3 nights, and like we split it in three. It was actually not bad at all. It was really really good price. And then for Italy, I did hostels. So I used Hostel World. I actually used the same hostel for Milan. Well, there's this hostel that I was staying in Milan called Yellow Square, and it was amazing. It was a very hipster vibe. It had a club in it. It had like free beer when you checked in. There were like movie nights, game nights. It was so fun. It was so good. We got a room of 4 female, and it was me and my friend, and then like these other 2 girls, and they were super nice. We got really lucky with them. And it was 1 private bathroom. It was amazing, and it was a really really good price. So I highly recommend that, and it's right in the heart of Milan. So I really do recommend Yellow Square Hostel. In Venice, we stayed actually in this really cool like heritage hostel that was like a heritage site, and whatever money got put into the hostel that you paid to the hostel, it would go into reparations of the building. And it was so pretty. I had a garden, and it was right in the center. It was wow. No, and they had free pasta to cook. It was amazing, and they had like free coffee and free tea. Honestly, I really recommend that one too. It is like less modern looking, but it is because it's on a heritage site, and it's like, I'll call it wholesome. It did everything you had to do. It provided us with everything that it needed to provide, and I loved it. I would recommend, and I would go again and do it again. But yeah, so that was Italy, and then also I stayed with some friends. That was Italy. For money saving when it comes to traveling, most of the time for breakfast, I go to the supermarket. I'm not kidding. Oh my god, the cafe lattes at Mercadona in Madrid, like those saved my life. So oh my god, those 7 euro sandwiches from the jamon serrano and the streets saved my life. I would get them right before Italian class or right after Italian class, and I would walk around and do that. I also found one of my favorite matcha place ever in the world is in Madrid. It's called Sweet Studio. It's like very low key, super nice, super local, and it's owned by like this like Japanese old lady, and she's so wholesome. It's in Malasaña. It's right in front of the Galicia empanadas. Those are also really good Argentinian empanadas in Malasaña. But anyway, so Sweet Studio, best matcha I've ever had. It was like 3 euros. I had one of those like every other day. Oh my god, they were so good. They were so good. But most of the time, I do have like I buy like bread, and I buy cheese, like sliced cheese or ham, and then I'll buy like the cafe lattes from in Madrid, which are like 1 euro. They're actually like £2 in the Tesco in London, and that would be my morning coffee. And then I would make myself a sandwich, and I would take it on the go every day, and that's how you save money. So there's definitely I will always shop at the supermarket, buy the basics, and then I'll just pre-make my lunch and dinner, and then I'll take it with me. When it comes to money and how to keep your money, I really recommend Wise and Revolut. Those are bank transferring. Well, they're banks. They're like online banks, and they're super easy to get an account in. Most of my friends in London use Revolut. I use Wise. They're literally the same thing. I actually stopped using my Chase account because my Wise account just has everything. It has my pounds, my dollars, my euros. I can add any other currency. It has really low currency exchange rates compared to others like Revolut. It has like the lowest one, Wise, and that's it. Automatically, whenever country you're in, you pay with that card. You can have it physical on Apple. You can have physical or an Apple Pay. I pay with that card, and depending on what currency I'm in, it pays with that currency. Obviously, I have to move it to that currency like in my little app. But the exchange rate is so low. It's amazing, and it works like wonders. And I really do recommend if you're moving between countries and if you're traveling a lot, and you're constantly exchanging currencies. It's really nice, and honestly comes in really handy. Especially it also works like a Venmo. Like you can just pay your friends automatically through like their username and Wise, and you can send links like, hey, through this link you can pay me through my bank account in Wise and Revolut. So it works like wonders. Honestly, I don't even use Venmo anymore at all. I downloaded it when I came back to the US because I was like, I'm gonna meet up with my Miami friends, probably gonna have to use Venmo. But honestly, my Wise account, I took it out again. I deleted Venmo again. But yeah, so that's when it comes to whole budgeting and managing your money with different currencies and foreign expenses. One app that I do want to also recommend for managing expenses, and I think a lot of people in the US know about this one too because it's just really reliable with friends. It's called Splitwise. It's basically an app where you don't actually manage the money there, but you can make a group with your friends and you can say like who owes what money, and it's kind of like an accounting app where you just like keep track of who spends money on this and who spends money on that, and you can click automatically, you can click specifically like who you split it with. You can add a description of what you spend money on, what currency it was, and it divides it by currencies too, which is really nice. My friends came to London with me. We went to Paris. We were switching between euros and pounds all the time, in dollars too, because they had dollars. So there were like 3 currencies going on in that split wise account, but it did the math for us, which was super nice. So yeah, so that's, I think I've covered everything. I think I've covered most of it. Oh, I was gonna do a quick plug. So one other way that I did traveling, which is so money saving and also time saving, I started like this company called Jet Lost, and it bases off of traveling. It started off with 24-hour traveling. I think they're still doing the 24-hour traveling trips, but you leave from London and you pay them a specific, like one trip was like 75, another one was 80 pounds, and that includes the plane ride round trip to a specific location, and they have a whole itinerary for you. And you don't know where you're going most of the time, unless you do their weekend long trips or like their 4-day trips. You actually do know like the villa you're staying in. Well, once you get there you find out the activities, but like you do know the location that you're going to. But when you do the 24-hour traveling, it's kind of all a secret until you get to the airport, and then they give you an envelope and you all open it together and you find out where you're going for the day, which is super exciting. It's kind of like a little game. But the night before, they do put you in a group chat and they tell you the temperature and things that you might need for whatever secret location you're going to. So I actually went to Cork, Ireland with them, and I went to Alicante with them. I couldn't do any other trips because I had other trips that I had prepaid for the specific dates that they do, because they normally announce their trips 2 weeks before they do them. And as I said in the beginning of the episode, I plan and I pay my trips like the beginning of semester. So unless it landed on a specific weekend that I purposely left open, I would go. But most of the time, the last semester was so sad, I had already trips planned. But yeah, so that's my little plug there for my friends. You're welcome. And yeah, that's about it. I think we've reached 36 minutes, which is more than enough. But I hope you guys having a great day. I hope summer's going great. I am having a great time in Boston, and it looks like I'm gonna be going to Spain. I spent 2 weeks in Miami, and I might be going to Spain for the rest of the summer, which will be really exciting. But yeah, have an amazing day. Peace out.